In the quiet village of Nirabad, people believed that walls had ears, but they often forgot that tongues had consequences. At the center of this village lived a man named Rashid. Now, Rashid wasn't an evil person. He prayed, he smiled, and he greeted everyone politely. But Rashid carried a hidden poison, and that poison was his tongue. Every morning, Rashid would sit at the old tea stall near the banyan tree. Villagers gathered there after prayers, sipping tea and sharing the day's news. Rashid was always the first to speak. He'd lean in and say, "Have you heard what happened in Karim's house?" Or, "I don't want to say this, but," and his favorite, "Swear you won't tell anyone." And just like that, people leaned closer. Rashid felt powerful. He felt important, needed. He didn't realize that with every whisper, he was setting fires in homes he would never even enter. Because of Rashid's words, 2 childhood friends stopped speaking after 20 years of friendship. A poor tailor lost all his customers when Rashid hinted that he was dishonest. A young girl cried 4 nights when a marriage proposal was suddenly cancelled, all because of a baseless rumor he had started. Rashid never saw their tears. He only heard the laughter at the tea stall. When someone tried to warn him, he'd reply casually, "I'm just sharing information. If it's false, why would people believe it?" He forgot one simple truth. People believe stories much faster than they believe facts. One evening, a wise, elderly man named Hakim Sahib joined the group at the tea stall. His beard was white, his voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp with experience. After listening quietly for a while, he turned to Rashid and said, "Son, words are like arrows. Once you release them, they never return." Rashid just chuckled. "Old man, these are just words. They disappear into the air." Hakim Sahib slowly stood up and replied, "No, words don't disappear. They wait." Weeks later, something in the village began to change. People started whispering when Rashid passed by. A shopkeeper suddenly refused him credit. Children stopped greeting him on the street. His own friends began to avoid sitting next to him. Then, the rumors reached his own ears. They were about him. They say Rashid stole the mosque donations. I heard he cheats travelers passing through this village. Someone told me he's a spy for outsiders. Rashid laughed at first, thinking it was a joke. But then, panic set in. He rushed to defend himself, shouting, "These are all lies." But people just shrugged and replied, "That's what you always said about others." No one listened, because trust, once broken, doesn't answer when you call. The village council summoned Rashid. Men spoke loudly. Accusations filled the room, and eyes judged him without mercy. Rashid's voice trembled as he tried to defend his honor. The village had looked at him and said, "Rashid, you planted these seeds yourself. Now you're asking why thorns are growing in your garden." A heavy silence fell over the room, and that silence hurt more than any shouting ever could. That night, Rashid couldn't sleep. Every whisper he had ever spread echoed in his mind. He went to Hakim Sahab's house and collapsed at his feet. "My life is ruined," Rashid cried. Hakim Sahib gently lifted him up and said, "No, son. This is not your punishment. This is your reflection." He continued, "Gossip is like borrowing joy by selling your honor. You enjoyed it for years. Now, the bill has arrived." Rashid wept like a child. The very next morning, Rashid did something completely unexpected. He stood in the middle of the village square and spoke loudly for all to hear. "I was wrong," he said. "My tongue destroyed homes, friendships, and hearts. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I ask for a chance to change." Some people laughed, some mocked him, others just walked away. But Rashid didn't stop. He began the long road back. He left the tea stall and avoided all circles of gossip. When he heard people whispering, he would stay silent or walk away. When he heard lies spreading about someone, he would defend the person who wasn't there. It wasn't easy. Some days he desperately wanted to speak, but then he remembered the pain. Years passed. Slowly, very slowly. People noticed the change. Trust didn't return overnight, but respect began to knock quietly on his door. Rashid never became popular again, but he became peaceful. And for him, that was more than enough. When he died many years later, Hakim Sahib told the children of Narrowbad, "Remember this story. A gossip's end is loneliness. A silent tongue is protection. And words once spoken live longer than we do. So before you speak, always ask yourself, will this heal or will this harm? Will this build or will this burn? Because the tongue has no bones, but it is strong enough to break a heart." Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider subscribing for more content like this. Stay thoughtful.